Hey friends, welcome back to Grand Adventure. I'm your host, Mark Guido. And on this grand adventure that we're all on called life, sometimes you get thrown a curveball. And it's what you do and how you approach that and how you change with the punches that can change everything. That's the situation with us on this episode. We'll explain more in a moment, so stay tuned. So when we last left you last week from Aberdeen, South Dakota, we indicated that we were going to be coming to you this week from Vermillion, South Dakota. That was our plan. We planned to move to Aberdeen, from Aberdeen to Vermillion on Saturday, set up camp, and then go see some exciting things on Sunday. We headed out of Aberdeen right on schedule on Saturday morning, and as we were heading east, we had a vehicle flag us down on the side of the road and to let us know that we were dragging a sewer hose. That actually turned out to be the highlight of the day. Sure enough, the hose had expanded on its own, had pushed out the end cap on the side of our bumper, and was now dragging down the road, grinding the bayonet fitting off on the asphalt. So sure enough, we needed to pick ourselves up a new sewer hose. So we looked ahead on Google Maps. We did see that there was a camping world in Sioux Falls that was just off the interstate. It was going to still be open at the time that we would have been rolling through. So we programmed the GPS for a stop at Camping World. Now, as we were heading south on I-29, I felt it was almost like the truck had lost power momentarily. It suddenly lurched forward. But then again, right after that, everything was totally fine. Everything was driving completely normally. It was a very windy day. I kind of chalked that up to a random gust and figured, oh well, that was just the wind. Sure enough, it was not just the wind. So when we got off the freeway for Camping World, we suddenly noticed a very unusual and very unfamiliar new metallic screeching noise coming from the trailer on an intermittent basis. I turned to Patricia, I said, I bet you we lost a wheel bearing. It was only a block to Camping World, so I pulled in their parking lot, got out, took a look, and sure enough, we had lost a wheel bearing on I-29. I'm pretty sure that our wheel hub isn't supposed to look like this. Notice how the chrome steel wheel has completely discolored from the heat. I think we're the king of lost wheel bearings. We lost one 2 years ago when we were in Albuquerque, if you remember from episode 66. However, this was a different bearing, and I've been taking great care to make sure that our bearings are serviced on a regular basis. I just had our mechanic check them and pack them and retension them on back in October. So the trailers had very little use over the course of the winter, so they should have been fine. We went in and instead of going straight for the sewer hose, I went to the service desk in Camping World and talked to the service manager there, who was unable to fit us into his schedule for at least the next week. He was, however, I gotta give him kudos, extremely helpful. He did track down a mobile RV mechanic who was able to meet us at 5:30. And Camping World even agreed to let them work on the axle in their parking lot, which I thought was amazing. However, right next door to the Camping World was a relatively unattractive roadside KOA. We realized that we were not going anywhere Saturday night, so we figured as long as the KOA would let the mechanic work on the axle in their campground, we would just pull in there and spend the night and get the wheel bearing taken care of. Well, the mechanics did show up at 5:30. They pulled it apart, and sure enough, unfortunately, the failed wheel bearing had wrecked the spindle on our axle. Here it was Saturday night. I had gone and gotten wheel bearings at O'Reilly Auto Parts so that the way we would have them when the mechanic showed up, but that wasn't going to do us any good with a damaged axle. Machine shops and any potential parts distributors were not going to be open until Monday morning. So now we were at this overpriced KOA for the duration of the weekend. Gotta give Rick and George, the mobile RV mechanics, credit. George was back at the site at 8:30 on Monday morning. He took the axle with him, was back with a brand new Dexter axle within an hour, and by noon he was done. He had it all fixed and we were ready to get back on the road. A huge shout out to George and Rick from A&B RV Repair in Sioux Falls, along with George's daughter Nicole, whose knowledge and skills may have forced me to turn in my man card. We'll put a link to their business in the video description down below if you ever need mobile RV repair in the Sioux Falls area. Patricia and I had to work until the end of the business day, so we actually got back on the road at 5 o'clock. Now, you know, you want to talk about making lemonade out of lemons or the glass half full. We did actually get to see Sioux Falls, which we wouldn't have ordinarily gotten to see had we not broken down in their city. We would have just sped by on the interstate. And Falls Park in Sioux Falls is absolutely gorgeous. So our original plan had been to go to the Missouri National Scenic River, which is a 59-mile stretch of river managed by the National Park Service of the Missouri River that's undammed. My intention on getting to Vermillion on Saturday had been to put in the water and paddle it all day on Sunday to film for you guys. But with Sunday lost at the KOA in Sioux Falls waiting on our new axle, that was not going to happen. But we were continuing with our plans to Vermillion. We got to Vermillion, we got to where we planned on camping, and I gotta be honest with you, neither one of us was terribly enamored with the campsite that I had lined up for us to stay in for the week in Vermillion. Although the campsite wasn't what we wanted, Vermillion is a charming little college town, home to the University of South Dakota. We went and checked out the Clay County Park, which is another campground nearby. Patricia was not happy with that one. I thought it was beautiful. Thick forest. Would have provided a nice shady canopy for the duration of the week in this hot weather that we're experiencing. But Patricia didn't like it, so we kept looking. We decided to head across the river into Nebraska and on down to Ponca State Park. In so doing, we crossed the stretch of river that we had planned to kayak and found it to be positively gorgeous, making it ever more painful that we didn't get to paddle on this stop. We also crossed through a portion of the beautiful Loess Hills, which rise 200 feet above the flat plains in a narrow band running north and south for 200 miles along the Missouri River. These hills are the first rise in land beyond the floodplain, forming something of a front range for Iowa and parts of Missouri and Nebraska, adjacent to the Missouri River. Ponca State Park is a beautiful Nebraska state park set amongst the Loess Hills lining the Missouri River. The unique conditions in the hills lining the river are conducive to fostering something that's unusual in the Midwestern prairie, a thick, lush, eastern deciduous forest. There are 3 separate RV campgrounds at Ponca State Park with electrical service. This riverfront campground is precisely what its name implies. The other 2 campgrounds in the park, including Turkey Ridge seen here, are set in the forest above the river. Normally, Turkey Ridge is entirely first come, first served, which is why we came here. During this post-pandemic period, however, the park is only providing camping to those with advanced prepaid reservations, so we were out of luck here too. As we were running out of daylight, we checked out Scenic View Park in South Sioux Falls. That was fully occupied, so back to the drawing board again. We ended up down here in Dakota City at what turned out to be, in the end, probably our best option anyway. This is called Cottonwood Cove Park. It's a municipal park. It's got a tiny little campground, only 12 spaces, right here on the banks of the Missouri River. It's $22 per night for water, electric, and cable TV, and they do have a dump station that's free to use when you're camping here, right here on the site. Here's why you're not getting any drone video from this campground. So instead of kayaking down the Missouri River, we got to explore the entire tri-state area this week in order to share it with you. Sioux City's Loess and Clark Interpretive Center showcases permanent exhibits about the Corps of Discovery's time in the present-day Sioux City area, from late July to early September 1804. The expedition comes to life in exhibits that use interactive devices, including animatronic mannequins, videos, and reproductions of military equipment. Alas, it's still closed for COVID-19 during our visit. The 14-foot-tall bronze Spirit of Discovery sculpture depicts Lewis Clark and Lewis's Newfoundland dog, Seaman. Despite his name, Chief War Eagle was known for negotiating peace treaties between the Yankton Sioux and other area tribes and white settlers both. Two of his daughters, Dawn and Blazing Cloud, married Montreal native Théophile Bruguier, a trader with the American Fur Company. Bruguier claimed the land near the confluence of the Big Sioux and Missouri rivers, where in 1849 he built a log cabin, and with his two wives and War Eagle settled the land and traded with the Indians. His house is considered the first white settlement in what would shortly become Sioux City. Kentucky native Charles Floyd was a non-commissioned officer in the U.S. Army, and at age 22 was quartermaster in the Lewis and Clark expedition. He was the only expedition member to die on the expedition of an apparent ruptured appendix. He was the first U.S. Army soldier to die west of the Mississippi River. The Floyd Monument at the site of his burial is the first National Historic Landmark designated by the National Park Service and the U.S. Department of the Interior. You know that if there's a ski area in the area, we'll find it, even in Iowa. Okay, Cove Park, operated by Sioux City, is only currently used as a tubing hill, but it's got snowmaking and a magic carpet lift, so we'll count it. The master plan for the complex, developed in 2016, does call for eventual ski lifts and runs in this wooded area to the left. So in addition to being the king and queen of failed wheel bearings, I also think we're the king and queen of blowouts. We've had two of those too. And in order to prevent either one of those events from disabling us again, Tire Innovations, a distributor for TireMinder, actually sent us a care package this week, and I'm pretty excited about this. They sent us a TPMS system from TireMinder, an RV tire monitoring system. Now, you're probably familiar with TPMS from your vehicle. It tells you when you have low air pressure in one of your tires. This works the exact same way, but for your trailer. In addition to tire pressure, it also reports to you and lets you know with an alarm if there are any issues with regard to the temperature coming from your tires. And that would have given us some advance warning that our wheel bearing was failing, and we may have been able to avoid replacing our axle in the process. Also, to help with preventing blowouts, they sent us a great little nifty digital tire gauge. And also to keep an eye on the bearings and the hubs, they sent us an infrared thermometer that we can use to point at the hub and pull the trigger and check and see what the temperature is, and check the one hub's bearings versus the temperature on all the others and see if there's an anomaly with any of them. So now the heart of this system are these little wireless remote sensors. All these do is replace the valve stem caps, the little valve covers that are already existing, the little plastic caps on each of your tires where you inflate the tires. Just screw off that little plastic cap and screw this on instead. You'll notice this actually has a little battery and transmitter inside, and what that does is that communicates wirelessly with the monitor that you keep on the dashboard of your vehicle. This will let you know the pressure in each of your tires and the temperature in each of your tires, and you'll get an alert if you have low pressure or a leaking situation in any of your tires. Now, one thing that we really liked about this little display unit is the fact that it has its own internal battery. So we have enough wires already running across our dashboard. So yes, you can use the USB cable and cigarette lighter plug to keep it plugged in at all times. But you can also simply charge the thing overnight before your drive day, and this thing will last about 10 to 12 hours sitting on your dashboard without actually being plugged in. That was a huge, huge plus as far as we were concerned. It comes with a little suction cup bracket to be able to mount it right on your windshield. And they also include a wireless signal booster, so that way if you do have an extended distance between your trailer tires and the position where you're putting the monitor, this will help to make up that gap and make sure that you have a strong signal at all times. Now, our particular kit came with 4 of these little transmitter units because we have a dual axle trailer. However, if you have more than 4 tires that you need to monitor, if you have a huge motorhome with 6 tires or 8 tires, you can get any number of these units, these little transmitter units that you can pair up with this monitor. This monitor you can actually pair with up to 40 of these transmitter units, and so you can use this in up to 4 different vehicles, simply moving the monitor from one vehicle to another to be able to keep track of whichever vehicle you're driving. So now TireMinder recommends using the signal booster in every installation, no matter how short a distance it is between the transmitters and the receiver, in order to minimize interference from other wireless signals. And they recommend mounting it somewhere in between the truck and the trailer. I'm going to mount it right here to the side of the battery box. It is 100% weatherproof, and that gives me easy access to the battery for a power source, using these 2 little alligator clips on the ends of the power leads. Now later on I will probably swap these out for some ring terminals or something that'll make this a little more permanent. But for now, this will do the trick. And there we go. That could not have been any easier. Took about 3 minutes. Then all that's left to do is to insert batteries into the transmitters, screw the transmitters onto your valve stems, and program the display unit. Here the unit sits monitoring on our dashboard, ready to let us know if we have a fast leak, a slow leak, a low pressure, or a temperature exceeding 167 degrees Fahrenheit in the tire. Now, all of TireMinder's products are designed and engineered right in Stuart, Florida, and the transmitters come with a free battery replacement program. The entire system comes with a 3-year warranty. Now, we weren't compensated financially in any way by TireMinder for including them in this video, but they did send us this product for us to test and try out for you folks, and they've also given us another set that we're going to give away to you. We have a contest, another contest running right in the video description down below. So go right on down for your chance to win a TireMinder set of your own. Now, they also set us up on their affiliate program. So down below in the video description, you'll also find links if you'd like to go and buy a TireMinder system through Grand Adventure for which we receive a small commission. If you like this video, please be sure to give us a big thumbs up down below. Also down below, you'll find the comment section where we'd love to hear from you after each video. We premiere new outdoor travel adventure videos each and every Wednesday evening. So if you're not yet a grand adventurer, now is the perfect time. Go smash that little red subscribe button down there in the corner and ring that notification bell. Next week, our American Heartland Tour 2020 will be continuing in the Ozark Mountains of central Missouri, so we would love to see you then. And until then, please remember, life is nothing but a grand adventure. We'll see you next week.